Hello. If you are an artist or if you own art, you probably want your art to last as long as possible. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you some tips on how to care for your art, such as cleaning your art and storing it, to ensure that you enjoy it for as long as possible. This won't be an exhaustive video. I will be focusing mainly on paintings such as oils and acrylics, as well as works on paper and bronze sculptures and ceramics, just because these are the types of artworks that I have handled the most. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Jaycene-Fay, and on my channel I talk about art history, and give advice to artists from an art gallery perspective, because I have been working in an art gallery for quite some time. So if you're interested in that, I encourage you to please subscribe and stick around. Starting off with paintings and works on paper. You should be dusting your paintings. Everyone should dust their paintings regularly, about once a week or every second week if they are uncovered, to prevent a buildup of dust, but also over time. I don't know if you've noticed, but when dust has had a long time to settle on things, and especially on paintings that have a somewhat stickier surface, it will be a lot more difficult to get rid of that. So you can use brushes, like a soft brush is preferable to a feather duster, just because the feathers have those little hard edges that can scratch your paintings. So rather use a soft brush, or maybe a lint-free soft cloth. That is fine too, but just use your discretion because it can catch on the painting. Do not wash your paintings with water or any other liquid. Obviously, do not wash works on paper. I think that goes without saying. But when it comes to oil paintings or acrylic paint, if you use water to wash the works, then the moisture can go into the cracks of the paint and then go into the back in between the paint and the canvas and build up there and cause mold and further cracking. If your paintings do become grimy past the point where dusting does not clean it, or if there is yellowing on the painting, then I do recommend that you seek help from a professional rather than trying to clean it yourself, because you don't want to damage something that is valuable to you. If you are in South Africa, I will put some contact information below for some art restorers that could assist you if you are in this area. Lastly, when it comes to caring for your paintings and works on paper, do not place them in direct sunlight. The sun will bleach them over time and can also cause further cracking in the paint. So bright light is fine. That obviously you want to be able to see your works, okay, but you don't want direct sunlight on them, so just keep that in mind when placing them. When it comes to storing your paintings and works on paper, they should be stored in a clean, dry area. If you live in an area where there is a lot of moisture in the air, just keep that in mind. Maybe get a dehumidifier for that space where you are keeping your works. It is quite expensive, but ultimately, if that is the case, then just make sure that there is enough space between each work to prevent a buildup of moisture and mold. Earlier, when I said that paintings can become yellow, that is often due to pollutants and smoking near a painting. So I do not recommend smoking near your paintings. It absorbs the pollutants in the air around it. So rather just steer clear of that. Don't allow people to smoke inside the house or inside your art studio. If you want to wrap your canvases for storing, I would recommend using baking paper. Baking paper has become my personal best friend when it comes to wrapping my paintings, because it does not stick. It doesn't cling to anything, literally. I've even tried using sticky tape to wrap it, and that doesn't work. The sticky tape doesn't even stick onto it. So it is best to just put down baking paper, like a sheet of baking paper, over the top of the painting, and then you can wrap it in bubble wrap. Just make sure that the bubble wrap, the bubbles on the bubble wrap, is facing the outside and not the inside. If you are not using baking paper, you can still wrap it in bubble wrap, just not for a long period of time, just because there could be some condensation, some moisture buildup. But again, make sure that the bubbles are on the outside because they can stick to the painting. I have personally seen paintings that have been damaged due to the bubbles not being on the correct side, and then it creates these horrible circles on the painting, and it's very difficult to get rid of. So, yes. You should not roll your canvases if they have thick paint on them. So impasto paint is a no-go. Just check that the paint is not too thick, so that if you do want to roll it, you roll it with the painting on the outside. I know that's counterintuitive because one may feel that they're protecting the painting if it's on the inside of the roll, but facing it on the outside will help to prevent cracking, so that when you roll it out again, then if there are any hairline cracks, then it will just come together nicely like a puzzle. When it comes to storing works on paper, I would recommend using acid-free tissue paper. So do not use regular tissue paper because of the acid. The acid in normal paper can eat away at the work and can also cause discoloration. So it is better to use acid-free tissue paper. And then you can place it into a folder. So like a cardboard folder or a plastic folder is fine, as long as it is protected by the tissue paper. I do want to touch on framing for a second, even though framing requires its own video. But this may help when it comes to storing your works and taking care of your works. So when it comes to works on paper, it is recommended that you use a float. So that means that there is some space between the paper and the backing board to allow breathability and to prevent mold. I know I bring up mold quite a bit, but that is the main issue when it comes to paintings, because it's, you know, canvas is a material, it's a textile essentially, and paper is obviously made of natural materials, of cotton, hopefully a high percentage of cotton, and wood. So that does play a role in promoting mold buildup. So yes, okay. So make sure that there is a space between the paper and the backing board, and the framer should know how to do that. And then obviously acid-free attachments are best. It is very hot here today. Now let's move on to bronze sculpture. As with painting, you should dust your sculpture regularly, at least once a week or so, just to keep it clean. But you don't have to be as delicate with it as with painting. So you can use a feather duster if you want to, and a soft brush to clean it of dust. If you want to wash it, you should wash it with water, some warm water, and a brush. I would not recommend using any harsh chemicals or cleaning products around the house, because that can damage the patina. So it is recommended to just use plain water, but obviously if it comes to very tough grime, then I would rather contact a professional, such as an art restorer or a sculpture restorer. To protect the patina of the bronze, you want to wax your sculpture once a year, every 6 months. That is fine. And you can use something like cobra wax if it's a clear cobra wax. However, I personally don't really like to use this, just because it does have if it's not buffed in properly, it can create a white residue, like a buildup. So I would rather recommend investing in a tree wax or a microcrystalline wax like Renaissance wax. When it comes to storing your bronze sculpture, luckily it is very tough. So it can go inside or outside. It doesn't really matter because it can handle the elements pretty well for the most part. So I would again use your discretion here. If it is a very delicate sculpture with many components, then rather don't put it outside where it can be blown and hit by branches, damaged by the elements. Rather bring it indoors. Yes, so I would rather recommend that. It is important to keep in mind that the patina of the sculpture is going to mature and change over time. So don't be shocked if you notice changes within the patina over time, because it is a natural oxidation process. And that is also what makes bronze quite beautiful, is that it does mature over time. But obviously, if you are living in an area where there is a lot of salt in the air, so you live close to the sea, then you may notice changes happen a lot quicker than if you were in a drier area. So I think that is where wax does help. Something that I forgot to mention when it comes to bronze and cleaning of your bronze is that obviously you need to look at the material, because some bronzes, I've seen works that have oil paintings on them, and I have seen works that have a very unique substance that's not quite a patina, but it's like a covering of the bronze to create a certain color, texture, all that. So when it comes to works like that, do not wash it. Do not scrub it, rather dust it. And if you do need to clean it, contact the artist or the gallery where you purchased the work, or an art restorer for that. Just wanted to put that out there. Moving on to ceramics. Ceramics, I think, are pretty straightforward. You want to use a soft cloth to dust them, to keep them clean. You can use a little bit of water, depending on whether the work is glazed or not. So if it is a glazed piece and there are no cracks, there are no hairline cracks in it, then you can use a little bit of water if you need to. But try to refrain from water if possible. If it is a porous or unglazed ceramic, then definitely don't use water or any chemicals, no cleaning products, again, because you don't want to damage the work, you don't want to damage the artwork that may be on there, or the ceramic itself. So rather than, you can use a damp cloth, but very barely damp. Very barely damp, okay? And that should be okay. If you really need to use it, then do that, but try to refrain from that and just dust with a lint-free cloth or a very soft brush. When it comes to storing your ceramics, you want to place it in an area that is not cluttered, where it won't get knocked over and it won't get damaged easily. You want to keep in mind that depending on how hot or dry your area is, that may cause some hairline cracks in the work. Very big changes in temperature can do that. Also, don't be shocked if you see hairline cracks in the glaze over time, because that is quite normal. But obviously, if there is an obvious big crack or damage, then you want to have that sorted. But little hairline cracks are pretty normal over time, because the ceramic does expand with the changes in temperature. And again, now when it comes to handling the ceramics, you don't want to pick it up by its delicate parts like the handle or the lip. You know, some people like to pick up a vase from the top, and that is very bad that can break, that can damage the work. So rather pick it up from the bottom. And the same goes for framed artworks. Many people don't know this, but framed works, you don't want to pick it up from the top, from its most delicate, weakest point. You want to pick it up from the bottom. And I think that goes for most artworks. So yes, I think that is all I have for you today. I hope that you found this video helpful, and if you did, I ask that you please like and subscribe, pass it on to your artist friends or friends that own works or that are purchasing new works. If they are, I'm very, very jealous. I want to buy something new at some point soon. But anyways, enough babbling. I hope that you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I will see you next time. Bye!